The stars twinkled silently in the night sky as they had for millennia. Yet on this particular evening, something was different. Hidden among those distant points of light, the Valari High Command observed Earth with growing interest. "These humans are primitive," declared Admiral Cole, the severe-faced leader of the Valari fleet. He gestured at the holographic display showing Earth's cities, vehicles, and primitive spacecraft. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. Their military forces are divided by national boundaries. Conquest will be simple." The other Valari officers nodded in agreement. Their species had conquered 12 worlds already. Each victory had been swift and glorious, adding to the Valari reputation as the most feared force in this arm of the galaxy. Earth would be no different. Meanwhile, at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station, Commander Mark Gray stared at his computer screen with a frown. The signal patterns didn't make sense. "What do you think, Jones?" he asked his top analyst. Lisa Jones pushed her glasses up and studied the data. "It's definitely not natural, sir. These patterns show intelligence. Someone is out there, and they're watching us." Gray nodded slowly. "How long have they been there?" "Based on signal strength and pattern changes, I'd say about 6 months. They're not hiding very well, almost like they want us to notice." Before Gray could respond, the station's alarms blared. Dozens of massive objects had suddenly appeared in Earth's orbit. The monitoring systems hadn't detected their approach. One moment empty space, the next moment filled with alien vessels. "Get the president on the line," Gray ordered, his voice steady despite the situation. Within hours, screens across Earth flickered as regular broadcasts were interrupted. The face that appeared wasn't human. Gray watched from the emergency command center as the alien spoke in perfect English. "People of Earth, we are the Valari Dominion. Your planet is now under our protection and control. Surrender your governments and military forces immediately. Resistance will bring consequences. You have 24 hours to comply." The message repeated in different languages, then the screens returned to normal programming. Gray expected panic. He expected emergency calls flooding in. What he didn't expect was what actually happened: confusion, disbelief, and a surprising amount of bureaucracy. "The United Nations Security Council will need to meet," said the president on the video call. "We need to verify if this is real or some elaborate hoax." "Mr. President," Gray interjected, "I can confirm those ships are real. They're massive and their technology is far beyond ours. Even so, Commander, we can't just surrender the planet because someone asks nicely. Schedule a response team meeting for tomorrow morning. Let's see what these Valari actually want." As the call ended, Gray turned to Jones. "They give us 24 hours, and we schedule a meeting to talk about it tomorrow." Jones smiled slightly. "That's humanity for you, sir. We respond to existential threats with committee meetings." Back on the Valari command ship, Admiral Cole waited impatiently for Earth's surrender. His second-in-command approached cautiously. "Admiral, we're receiving unusual feedback from Earth. Their governments are discussing the situation. They're asking for proof of our intentions and credentials." "Credentials?" Cole hissed. "We have a battle fleet in orbit. What more proof do they need?" "There's more, sir. Most of their population appears to be continuing normal activities. Their entertainment channels are still broadcasting. Their transportation systems are running. It's as if our arrival is merely interesting news." Admiral Cole's eyes narrowed. This wasn't how conquered worlds were supposed to react. Where was the fear, the panic? "Prepare a demonstration," he ordered. "Target an uninhabited area. Show them we're serious." Little did Cole know, humanity's apparent indifference would prove to be their most powerful weapon. The morning after the Valari's ultimatum expired, Admiral Cole paced the command deck of his flagship. His skin had darkened to a deep purple, a clear sign of his growing anger. "No response. None at all," he demanded. Officer Trell stood at attention, trying not to show fear. "The humans have issued a statement, Admiral. They say they acknowledge receipt of our communication and invite diplomatic representatives to discuss terms in a neutral setting. Cole slammed his fist on a nearby console. We don't negotiate. We conquer. He turned to his weapons officer. Target the island as planned. Show these humans what happens when they ignore the Valari Dominion. Far below on Earth, Commander Gray sat in yet another emergency meeting. Representatives from 20 nations argued over video screens while satellite images of the alien fleet projected on the wall. We can't fight them, said the Russian general. Their technology is too advanced. We can't surrender either, countered the British minister. We know nothing about them or their intentions. The American secretary cleared her throat. Commander Gray, your team has been monitoring them. What do you think? Gray stood up slowly. They're frustrated. Our lack of immediate response has thrown them off balance. He pointed to thermal imaging of the alien ships. Their power systems are fluctuating. They expected surrender or an attack, not meeting requests. So what do we do? Asked someone. Jones spoke up from her seat beside Gray. We keep doing exactly what we're doing now. We talk. We delay. We act like this is just another diplomatic situation. As if on cue, alarms sounded. One of the alien ships had fired a beam at Earth. Screens showed a small uninhabited island in the Pacific Ocean, now reduced to molten rock. They're demonstrating their power, Gray said calmly, trying to scare us. The president's face appeared on the main screen. Everyone stay calm. Issue the following statement. Earth notes the destruction of Pacific Island at 157. We request clarification on whether this constitutes a formal declaration of war or a demonstration. Earth awaits formal diplomatic contact. Gray couldn't help but smile. The statement was perfectly bureaucratic, acknowledging the attack while effectively asking the aliens to fill out proper paperwork. Back on the Valari command ship, Call received the human response with disbelief. They ask if this is a declaration of war. After we destroyed an island. His voice rose to nearly a shout. Of course it's a declaration of war. Officer Mira, head of Valari intelligence, stepped forward. Admiral, with respect, the humans are employing an unusual strategy. They're treating us like a minor inconvenience. Inconvenience. Cole hissed. Yes, sir. Look at their broadcasts. Mira activated a screen showing Earth television. News channels discussed the alien presence briefly before moving on to weather reports and sports scores. Social media showed humans making jokes about space tourists and intergalactic telemarketers. They're not afraid, Mira continued. And Valari power relies on fear. Call's eyes narrowed. Then we will teach them fear. Prepare for targeted strikes on their military installations, and send this message. The Valari Dominion formally declares war on humanity. Prepare for annihilation. On Earth, Commander Gray received the message while eating a sandwich in the cafeteria. He read it on his tablet, took another bite, then forwarded it to the proper department with a note. Please add to agenda for tomorrow's meeting. Priority level, medium high. Outside the windows of the cafeteria, people walked by, went to work, and lived their lives. News of the war declaration scrolled across screens, sandwiched between celebrity gossip and stock prices. The greatest protection humanity had against the alien threat wasn't their weapons. It was their ability to make the mighty Valari feel utterly unimportant. 3 days after declaring war, the Valari targeted Earth's satellite networks. Brilliant flashes lit up the night sky as communication satellites exploded one by one. Admiral Call watched with satisfaction from his command center. Now they will feel our power, he said. Without their precious technology, panic will spread. Officer Trell monitored Earth's communications. Sir, their global internet is disrupted by 30%. Television and radio signals are weakened in many regions. Good. Show me their news broadcasts. I want to see their fear. The screens flickered to life, showing various human news channels. To Cole's surprise, reporters appeared calm. One woman with a microphone stood before a crowd of people setting up old-fashioned radio antennas. With satellite communications partially disrupted, communities across the country are setting up emergency radio networks, she explained. The government reminds citizens that this is not cause for alarm. Please refer to the Alien Incident Response pamphlets being distributed. Call's eyes widened. Pamphlets. They're responding to our attack with paper instructions. Another screen showed workers laying cables. Internet service providers are switching to underwater cable networks, a reporter explained. Expect slower connections for streaming services. The emergency broadcast system recommends downloading entertainment during off-peak hours. Officer Mira studied the images carefully. Admiral, they're adapting quickly. And notice how they refer to our attacks. The alien incident, as if we're a minor inconvenience like a storm or power outage. Meanwhile, in an underground military facility, Commander Gray met with his international task force. Operation Shrug is working better than expected, he told the assembled officers. The Valari don't understand why we're not panicking. Jones projected her latest analysis on the screen. Based on their communication patterns and attack strategies, we believe the Valari society is built around recognition and status. Being ignored is deeply disturbing to them. The Chinese general nodded, so we continue to treat them like an annoyance rather than an existential threat. Exactly, said Gray. Meanwhile, we quietly prepare our defenses. How are the evacuations of potential target areas going? Almost complete, answered the Indian commander. We're moving people from military bases and government centers, but doing it under the cover of scheduled infrastructure updates and safety drills. Gray smiled. Perfect. The Valari are watching our media. As far as they can tell, we're more concerned about next week's sports championship than their war declaration. Above Earth, Admiral Call's patience had run out. Enough of these games. Target their largest military installation. Show them we are serious. The Valari weapons charge then fired a devastating beam at Earth's largest naval base. The blast vaporized docks, buildings, and surrounding areas. When the smoke cleared, Officer Trull reported with confusion. Admiral, the base appears to have been empty. What? Call demanded. No human life signs were present before our attack. The ships were there, but no crews. According to their social media, they were conducting a routine maintenance period with staff working remotely. On Earth, the attack made headlines for approximately 3 hours. Then coverage shifted to a celebrity wedding. The president issued a brief statement expressing disappointment with the aliens' destructive behavior and announced a strongly worded letter of protest would be sent. That evening, as Commander Gray reviewed defense preparations, Jones brought him a tablet showing social media trends. Sir, you should see this. Humans are responding to the attack in the most effective way possible. Gray looked at the screen and laughed. Millions of people were sharing memes and jokes about the aliens who can't take a hint and space tourists with boundary issues. One popular post read, "Dear aliens, we've been trying to reach you about your spaceship's extended warranty." The strategy was working. Humanity's greatest weapon against the mighty Valari wasn't technology or firepower. It was indifference. This cannot continue. Admiral Cole roared, his skin now a deep violet shade that none of his officers had seen before. The command center fell silent as he paced before the main view screen showing Earth rotating peacefully below. 1 week into the war, and the humans still behaved as though the Valari were barely worth noticing. It defied all logic. It defied all previous conquest experiences. Show me their broadcasts again, Cole demanded. The screens lit up with various human media. A cooking show demonstrated how to prepare meals without refrigeration during temporary power fluctuations. A comedy program featured jokes about those persistent aliens who keep photobombing our planet. A news anchor calmly discussed continued extraterrestrial demonstrations before moving on to sports results. Officer Mira studied Cole carefully before speaking. Admiral, I believe the humans are employing deliberate psychological warfare. They've identified our cultural emphasis on recognition and respect. Explaining, Cole growled. In Valari culture, being acknowledged is everything. Status comes from others recognizing your power. The humans are denying us that recognition. Mira pulled up human military records her team had accessed. Their military has a term for this strategy: Operation Shrug. On Earth, Commander Gray sat in the newly established Alien Response Center, deep underground. Around him, military and intelligence officers from a dozen nations monitored the Valari fleet. Their power signatures are becoming erratic, Jones reported. The flagship in particular is showing unusual energy spikes. Gray nodded. They're getting desperate. Time to push harder. He turned to the communications officer. Implement Phase 2 of Operation Shrug. Across Earth, entertainment companies released new programming. Reality shows like Surviving Alien Season offered tips on living with occasional orbital bombardments, as though they were merely bad weather. Children's cartoon characters dressed as aliens for comedy sketches. Social media platforms introduced alien invasion filters that made ordinary photos look like they were taken during space battles. The Russian general laughed as he watched a popular video of people going about normal activities, while ignoring obvious special effects of alien ships in the background. "This is brilliant," he said. "We make them a joke, not a threat." More importantly, Gray added, "We're gathering intelligence while they're distracted by our non-response. Our analysis of their communications suggests their command structure is starting to fracture." Jones pointed to intercepted transmissions. This officer, designated Mira, appears to be questioning the Admiral's approach. Several other officers are communicating with her privately. "Can we establish contact?" Gray asked. "I believe so. Their encryption is advanced, but follows patterns we've cracked." In her private quarters aboard the Valari ship, Officer Mira reviewed the human broadcasts with growing concern. The Valari had always conquered through fear and intimidation. Never had they encountered a species that simply shrugged them off. Her communication terminal beeped with an unexpected signal. The message was in broken Valari language. "Officer Mira, we wish to discuss alternatives to continued conflict." Mira hesitated, then responded. "Identify yourself." "Commander Gray, Earth Defense. We understand your position is difficult. Admiral Cole's strategy is failing. Perhaps we can find a better solution." Before she could respond, her door slid open. Admiral Cole stood there, eyes blazing. "Prepare all weapons," he ordered. "I've decided on a new approach. If the humans won't acknowledge our power, we will escalate until they have no choice. Sir, perhaps diplomatic." "Diplomacy," Cole laughed harshly. "With primitives who mock us. No, we will target their population centers next. Not to destroy them completely, just enough to show our power." Mira's heart raced. This was against Valari conquest protocols. They always targeted military installations first, never civilians. As Cole left, she quickly sent a message to the human commander. "Danger. Cole plans civilian strikes." Losing rationality. On Earth, Gray read the message and looked grimly at his team. Phase 3 of Operation Shrug just became urgent. "Alert all major cities. It's time to show the Valari that ignoring them doesn't mean we aren't prepared." Dawn broke over New York City as people hurried to work, seemingly unconcerned about the massive alien ship hovering above the skyline. Street vendors sold Alien Invasion t-shirts, while tourists snapped photos of the vessel. What the Valari couldn't see was the carefully orchestrated evacuation happening beneath the appearance of normality. Underground, subway trains carried thousands to secure facilities outside the city. Office buildings quietly emptied as fire drills directed people to safety. On the Valari flagship, Admiral Cole gave the order. "Fire on the human city. Low power, just enough to destroy a few of their structures. When they panic and run, increase power gradually." Officer Trell obeyed, but exchanged worried glances with several others on the bridge. This violated conquest protocols. The weapons discharge, sending a bright beam toward Manhattan. The beam hit and encountered an invisible barrier that scattered the energy harmlessly into the atmosphere. What happened? Cole demanded. Unknown, Admiral, Trell reported. The beam dispersed before reaching the target. Impossible. Increase power and fire again. On Earth, Commander Gray watched from the Emergency Command Center as the shield technology, reverse-engineered from a damaged Valari scout ship, performed perfectly. Shield holding at 86%, Jones reported. The energy dispersal system is working even better than our tests predicted. Gray nodded. Activate Phase 3 countermeasures. It's time the Valari learned we weren't ignoring them. We were studying them. Across the globe, hidden defense systems activated. Automated turrets emerged from concealed positions, targeting the Valari ships with precision. They didn't fire, not yet, but their presence was now visible to the alien sensors. In orbit, the Valari fleet erupted in chaos. Admiral, Trell shouted, weapons systems are locking onto our ships from all over the planet. Impossible, Cole muttered. Their technology isn't advanced enough. Officer Mira stepped forward. Actually, Admiral, our intelligence suggests the humans have been reverse engineering our technology. While we thought they were ignoring us, they were learning from us. Why wasn't I informed? Cole's skin darkened dangerously. I filed 3 reports, Mira stated calmly. You dismissed them as insignificant. Other officers on the bridge stood straighter, moving subtly away from Cole and closer to Mira. On the command screen, a communication request flashed. It was from Earth. Deny it, Cole ordered. Trell hesitated, then spoke carefully. Sir, conquest protocols require we accept communication attempts after first engagement. I am your admiral. You will obey me. The tension on the bridge thickened. Then Officer Vell, normally quiet and obedient, pressed the accept button. Commander Gray's face appeared on screen. He looked calm, almost bored. This is Commander Gray of Earth Defense. We've been patient with your demonstrations, but targeting civilian areas crosses a line we cannot ignore. Cole pushed forward. You dare speak to me of lines? You ignored our ultimatums. You mocked our power. Gray raised an eyebrow. We simply responded proportionally to what we perceived as minor threats. However, we're now prepared to respond more seriously. The screen split to show feeds from around Earth. Advanced weapons systems, shields over major cities, and squadrons of fighter craft that had remained hidden until now. These are just our visible defenses, Gray continued. Perhaps Admiral Cole hasn't briefed you on what we've learned from your scout ship, the one we captured last month while you were focused on our satellites. Murmurs spread through the Valari bridge. No one had informed them of a captured ship. Mira stepped forward. Commander Gray, I am Officer Mira. Many of us feel the Admiral's approach has been hasty. We request a temporary cessation of hostilities to discuss alternatives. No, Cole shouted. I order all ships to fire on Earth's defense systems immediately. No one moved to obey. The bridge had gone completely silent. This is mutiny. Cole reached for his sidearm, but found himself surrounded by his own officers. On the screen, Gray watched with interest. It seems you have internal matters to address. Valari Fleet. We'll stand by for your unified response. The screen went dark, leaving the Valari command ship in turmoil as years of conquest protocol collided with an admiral's wounded pride. The next 12 hours brought uneasy silence from the Valari fleet. On Earth, Commander Gray paced the command center, watching the alien ships on the main screen. They're repositioning, Jones observed. The smaller vessels are moving away from the flagship. Gray nodded. The fleet is dividing. Our strategy worked better than we hoped. We've triggered a power struggle. The Russian general leaned forward. Should we attack while they're divided? No, Gray replied firmly. We maintain defensive posture only. Let their internal conflict play out. Aboard the Valari flagship, chaos reigned. Admiral Call had been confined to his quarters, guarded by loyal officers, but the chain of command remained unclear. In the secondary command center, Officer Mira addressed the gathered leadership. "The conquest of Earth has failed," she stated bluntly. "The humans employed a strategy we never encountered before. They studied us while appearing to ignore us." Officer Trell pulled up sensor data. "The humans have shield technology adapted from our own designs. Their weapon systems now match our vulnerability patterns exactly. They've been learning from every attack we made." An alarm blared, cutting the meeting short. On the main screen, Admiral Cole's face appeared. Somehow, he had accessed the ship's communication system from his quarters. "Attention all Velari vessels," he announced, his skin now almost black with rage. "This is your Admiral speaking. The mutineers have failed to understand our purpose. The humans must be conquered, no matter the cost. I am activating the cleansing protocol." Gasps filled the room. The cleansing protocol was a last resort, never before used in conquest, a weapon designed to render a planet temporarily uninhabitable by poisoning its water supply. "He's mad," Mira whispered. "This violates every principle of the Dominion." On Earth, Commander Gray received urgent alerts as the Velari flagship's power core surged to unprecedented levels. "They're charging something massive," Jones reported, her voice tense. "Energy signature doesn't match anything we've seen before. All cities, activate maximum shield coverage," Gray ordered, "and launch Operation Sunspot." High above Earth, small objects detached from hidden orbital platforms. These devices, the product of reverse-engineered Velari technology, streaked toward the alien fleet, undetectable by their sensors. Inside the Velari flagship, Mira and her supporters raced toward the main power core. They had to stop Cole before he activated the cleansing protocol. Guards loyal to the Admiral blocked their path. "Stand aside," Mira commanded. "The Admiral has exceeded his authority." "We follow the Admiral's orders," the guard captain replied, weapons raised. Before either side could fire, the ship shuddered violently. The lights flickered, and gravity briefly failed. "What was that?" someone shouted. Trell checked a nearby console. "Something has attached to our hull. Multiple points of contact." On the command deck, screens showed small Earth devices attaching to key points on the Velari ships. Within seconds, the flagship's power levels began to drop dramatically. "They're draining our energy," an officer reported in disbelief. "How did they develop this technology so quickly?" The answer appeared on their screens as Commander Gray opened a communication channel to all Velari ships simultaneously, something that should have been impossible with their encryption. "Velari fleet, this is Earth defense. We've been monitoring your internal communications. We know about the cleansing protocol, and we've taken steps to prevent it." The image shifted to show Jones standing beside a captured Velari scout ship. "While you were busy testing our reactions, we were learning everything about your technology. Your ships now have energy-draining devices attached to critical systems." Mira pushed past the confused guards and took control of communications. "Commander Gray, this is Officer Mira. Admiral Cole has violated our conquest protocols. Many of us wish to end this conflict immediately." Gray's expression remained neutral. "We're open to discussion, Officer Mira. But first, you need to resolve your internal leadership issues. We've given you the opportunity by neutralizing your ship's capabilities." Throughout the fleet, Velari officers watched as their mighty warships hung powerless in orbit. The species that they had dismissed as primitive had outmaneuvered them completely. In his quarters, Admiral Cole screamed in rage as his personal terminal went dark. The cleansing protocol had been stopped, his authority broken. For the first time in Velari history, a conquest had failed. And it had failed because the target hadn't even considered them worth fighting, until they had to. 3 days after the failed cleansing protocol attempt, representatives from Earth and the Velari Dominion met on neutral ground, an orbital platform hastily constructed between their vessels. Commander Gray led the human delegation, while Officer Mira, now acting fleet commander, represented the Valari. The meeting room was simple, a round table with chairs for both species. Through the windows, Earth shone blue and peaceful below. Admiral Cole has been removed from command, Mira began formally. The Dominion Council has been notified of his violations of conquest protocols. Gray nodded. And the rest of your fleet? Will they honor whatever agreement we reach here? They will, Mira confirmed. The failure of this conquest has changed things among my people. Many questions are being asked about our purpose. Jones, sitting beside Gray, activated a holographic display showing the disabled Valari ships. We've maintained the energy dampening fields as a precaution, but we can remove them once terms are agreed upon. A Valari officer named Len leaned forward. How did you develop countermeasures so quickly? Our technology should have been centuries beyond yours. Gray allowed himself a small smile. We never ignored you, Acting Commander Mira. From the moment your ships appeared, we were studying everything about you. While Admiral Cole focused on our apparent indifference, we were learning your weaknesses. But your people seemed so unconcerned, Mira said. That was deliberate, Jones explained. Our analysts identified the Valari cultural emphasis on recognition and acknowledgement. Your power comes from others fearing and respecting you. By treating your presence as unimportant, we destabilize your command structure. Gray added, meanwhile, we evacuated potential targets, studied your weapons from each attack, and reverse-engineered your technology from the scout ship we captured during your first demonstration. Mira's eyes widened. The island attack. You let us destroy it. An uninhabited research outpost, Gray confirmed. The perfect opportunity to analyze your weapon's signature. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then Mira did something unprecedented in Valari history. She laughed. 12 worlds conquered through fear and intimidation, she said, shaking her head. And we fail at the 13th because they refuse to be afraid. The human and Valari delegates spent hours drafting a peace agreement. The terms were straightforward. The Valari would withdraw from Earth's solar system and recognize human sovereignty. In exchange, humans would share certain technological innovations, none weapons-related, and establish limited trade relations. As the meeting concluded, Mira approached Gray privately. Your strategy was brilliant, she admitted. But I'm curious, what would you have done if we had immediately launched a full-scale attack instead of demonstrations? Gray's expression grew serious. We had other plans ready, but we studied your previous conquests and bet that you would follow patterns, testing us, expecting surrender, becoming confused by indifference. Your species values protocol and recognition. We used that against you. Mira nodded slowly. The Dominion Council will need to reconsider many things. Our entire approach to expansion may change because of this encounter. 2 weeks later, the Valari fleet departed Earth's orbit. Humans watched through telescopes and live streams as the once threatening ships shrank to points of light and vanished. Life on Earth quickly returned to normal, or seemed to. Behind the scenes, humanity incorporated the technological leaps gained from the encounter. Global defense systems remained ready, hidden beneath the surface of ordinary life. In his office, Commander Gray read the final report on Operation Shrug. The document concluded with a quote that had become something of a motto among Earth's defense forces. The greatest power sometimes lies in refusing to acknowledge another's power. The report also noted intelligence suggesting the Valari had begun significant cultural reforms. Their next encounters with other species would likely be very different. Gray closed the file and looked out his window at the peaceful street below. People walked by, lived their lives, completely untroubled by how close they had come to destruction. Sometimes, he thought, humanity's greatest strength wasn't in what they did, but in what they chose not to do.